an important detail is that we are part of the DAO, but we are not part of the DAO board, which means we can.
There's a vote every 3 months. This is gonna be our first month voting for a new DAO board.
Okay.
Which means
month for
we don't have any say on the procedures. So the procedures are collectively decided by the community, by the DAO, but they are put forward by the DAO board, which we are not part on purpose. We don't want to be in the forefront. We don't want to be as core contributors, changing direction based on our personalities, or because we have some status of maybe a little bit more influential.
It makes me sad, to be honest, that I can't I can't be part of Grape as a real DAO member. I feel that we are cheated out of an opportunity to be part of the real thing, right? Where it's like, okay, maybe I can find this in a different DAO, right? But I can't. So as much as possible, we have to do these hard decisions where it's like, I guess I can't campaign. I want to campaign. I want to be on the DAO board.
Because as we've seen it grow from zero, we have some understanding of, hey, this needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But after you're not in charge, then you start seeing other people's opinions, and maybe they have a completely different vision, and maybe that's the majority. And so it is a little bit sad. It hurts sometimes, but on the other hand, it's seeing your child grow up and being autonomous in a way. So I'm happy that sometimes the DAO just has a completely different opinion, and every time it's the DAO that will make the decision, not us.
Yeah, and it's great because it does put that balance of power. Like you're saying, there is some sort of conflict of interest, and it's not like you guys have to sit and watch from the sidelines 100%. You still have some sort of voice, but the whole idea of the DAO is limiting that and making sure that the community also has their voice. So I think it's interesting. It's also important. I think we were on here with Nam last week talking about SMB things, and he was like, a good compromise, both parties are upset. So it's like, it's probably a good thing that you guys feel cheated of some sort. And on this idea, we talked about the sanctuary. Can we just go more into this? I mean, I really started diving into Grape a lot more last night, and I start opening up these proposals. And this was the first thing I asked when you guys came in. It's like, how is the DAO keep up with these things? And it all feeds back to the idea of being super active. If you're not there for 2 weeks, you're out. But I'm just curious, what are some of the big proposals that you guys personally are excited about, or potentially that also the DAO has just been talking about a lot, some of the bigger ones? Because I think there's, 6 to 8 to 10 on there right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of proposals active right now. Like every month, the most important proposal is the emissions. So our tokenomics, which we said 60% goes to community, which I challenge anybody to show me another project of our size that gives that much. It's a community project, right? 5 million is minted every month. 1.5 of it goes to people who have different skills, right? We said there are 93 people that have different skill roles in our. We have to decide as a DAO how to split that up. So that is the most important vote every month, is like, how are we communicating our priorities, right? So this last month, we had a massive increase on allocation towards the developers. Why? I mean, these guys have been beasts this month, right? We
Grape.art.
Yeah, Grape.art came out, right? So there's going to be this continuous, shift of priorities, and those priorities are going to be mirrored by where we continue to allocate governance power, right? That's how you have to think about that Grape allocation. We're giving people more and more of a voice. So I think the emissions one is massively important
and ongoing.
And how often is that? Because these things, tokenomics in general, like having them dynamic is fairly important. Like, as you're saying, things change. It's like, okay, developing is really important, but maybe there's a certain time where it's like community is a little bit important. Like early on, it sounds like that was very important. You need users, and now it's like, okay, these tools are sweet. Everyone's getting excited about them. Roundabout question for just like you said, it's ongoing. How often is that?
So right now we're doing about once a month. Now it's funny. The first two emissions, the first emission plan I created.
The
The
second,
second
I
one he
created.
created. On the third one, we told them we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So it didn't get done for over a month.
So no emission happened.
So no emission happened.
until someone from
And
the
until
community.
somebody from the community made an emission plan. It was that simple. It was like, guys, if
Because-
no one's gonna get Grape until somebody does it, and I promise you, I will not put that plan together.
Yes, because it's easy for me to just make a proposal and then have everybody agree with me. But I want someone else to come up with a proposal and challenge mine.
You know,
That's where
yeah.
you're gonna find the gold. That's where you're gonna improve on your processes. This is how you're gonna involve other people. And as I said, it's an ongoing process, which means SubDAOs need to vote. SubDAOs need to police their ranks because some people are getting paid more than others, and this just puts forward all those growing problems that communities face.
And we're very close to making this all decentralized. Like right now, I showed this to Nam yesterday. So what happens is we vote as a community how this emission is going to be, right? We know exactly who's going to get how much Grape. Then we put the vote on chain on Realms, and there's an instruction to send that Grape to our streaming partner. Now, there's only two that I know of: MeanFi and StreamFlow.
Yep.
MeanFi today is a lot further along. So we're using MeanFi. That doesn't mean we want to use StreamFlow. We'll use anything that's ready and integrated, right? We're users. We're the number one power users. So when it gets sent after the vote passes, the Grape automatically goes into the MeanFi account.
Mm-hmm.
Now there, it's a little centralized because they haven't created a system where we can give them some sort of like CSV or something connected to a vote, right?
Okay,
it would be
yeah.
awesome if in those voting instructions, we also specifically said the Grape's going to be cut up like this. And then it goes into a stream. And that stream gives that Grape out a maximum of 1,000 a day. And, some people have Grape, coming to them for, who knows how many months moving in the future.
And
yeah,
this is a
it's
problem.
very close to being completely
And
decentralized.
this is a problem you cannot identify prior of arriving there. It's impossible. You need to
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
first
if you ever
get
told
the
me
DAO.
streaming payments is going to be
How
essential
would
to DAOs,
we do?
I wouldn't understand that because
Yeah.
now we've figured out that, and this hasn't gone to a DAO vote, but we talk about this philosophically. If somebody leaves but has these streams still going, what should we do? And some people have said, okay, you can cut off the stream.
Yeah.
Right. It's an interesting concept, and there's so many permutations, so many different tests to do. But yeah, if you're not users, how are you going to be built? You don't know what
You need to
build.
get your hands there.
Yeah.
So there are examples in Solana. I'm not going to name names, but you could see some amazing builders that are completely not users. So it's like, oh, look at this amazing thing I built. Who's using it?
Yeah.
Oh, they don't understand it. No, you don't understand what people want, right? So I think that we've done an amazing job of being the best users in Solana for the, definitely for the non-financial, although the research group would probably say that they're the best at doing DeFi tools as well.
That's awesome. And so while we're here, I don't know if I completely understand the sanctuary yet. So maybe a little bit wrap that up, and then just the SubDAOs is a whole nother rabbit hole that I think we can scratch the surface on, but that just runs insanely deep and just shows the power of Grape community. But Sanctuary, how can we wrap that up high level? What's the big thing behind that?
Yeah, so the Sanctuary is a fantastic project around derugging other projects. It started with the exiled apes, and then it went to soul bears, and now there's a lot of communities where after they get rugged or for whatever reason the developers stop, there are people who are passionate in the community that don't want to see this stop, so they use the entangler to continue this community. This has been led by Levi Korg, Angered Bees. I don't know them in real life, right? Kimosabi, Joanna, Exiled Apes. Like these are the 5 names that I know very well. So we see that we're aligned in what we're trying to accomplish around supporting community building. That they're very active in Realms. That's actually what, like, I am addicted to Realms. I know everybody who's like, I'm proud that we are the biggest user and the biggest DAO in Realms. So we identified that, hey, these guys are pretty big. They're pretty active. What we did there was we reached out. We said we would love to bring you into our DAO. So we're giving them Grape to come in and be with us. And they're going to allocate 5 gorilla spots to those 5 members I mentioned. And then they're going to choose 2 other people. And the idea is for us to be able to support those operations, right? They're all doing this now kind of pro bono. We already have a tokenomic structure. We already have 93 people who do other jobs. So combining, we'll be able to continue what they're doing, but just give them much more support.
And the most important thing that we identified is not that we have the same mission of bringing a better user experience, a better community experience, especially to those users that might have one mint in their life. They decided to mint one NFT. They were unlucky and they got drugged, and then they have a terrible experience from the space. So we were aligned in the mission, but more importantly, we were aligned in the ethos of let's make this a place that is welcoming and give a space that will empower those individuals that put the work, that are passionate, that are excited. And the Grape community has been a funnel for all those projects that might become weaker, either due to market conditions, either due to some botched mint, some issue with the contracts, or even because some core team members decided to abandon them. So the Grape community offers a great place for these enthusiastic people to start over, and the Sanctuary, they're going above and beyond to rescue these communities and identify value and bring it forward. They've identified so many leaders inside those communities that just started as members or as users or as collectors, and they managed to unlock their leadership value, bring them forward, and lead those projects that the market thought they were dead. And I think there is a place in the Grape DAO boards for those individuals that know how to empower and know how to shape a community. And the different thing that we're doing with Sanctuary is that we're inviting the whole group to the DAO. We have this partner servers awards that we usually give to. We change the criteria every month, every epoch, so it cannot be gamed. And this month, this epoch, we identified the Sanctuary, that we need these people to be closer to us, closer to the Solana space, and give them any tools they need to continue what they're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the best part is we got through 2 big proposals, right? We were talking about the emissions, the ongoing ones, and that somewhat bleeds into being able to do things like the partner service program, tying into the Sanctuary. I'm curious now, I saw something, SubDAOs, I think we should scratch the surface of this a little bit. You also, in your tweet, you put out social tokens, and I've heard about this not too adept, so I'd be great for you to lay that on us as well, Chris. But even just touching SubDAOs, because this seems super interesting, and we'll just show how deep, and this is a fun one, how deep like the grapevine will actually go in what you guys can make.
Yeah,
Sure. So what we've understood by growing this community and actually looking at other communities, successful communities, we've seen that the building blocks, the teams that comprise the core of each community are a little bit the same. Everybody has moderators, everybody has videographers, community creators, researchers, DeFi experts. Everybody's bringing their own value. And what we did differently is organize those individuals, those groups in SubDAOs. And as we said, we're a community project, which means a large chunk of the allocation is going to go to those groups. The idea is to form those groups and allow them to self-police and shape their own culture, make their own rules and find their own ways of identifying talent. And this helps in the overall decision making because smaller groups can arrive at consensus much easier. At the same time, these groups share the same kind of skills, the same kind of expertise, and there is some mutual respect. There is an easier way for these individuals to connect and, of course, find consensus. So these are the SubDAOs that will actually decide what's important and what needs to be passed to the main DAO. because the main DAO cannot possibly know, the DAO board, what happens in the moderator's SubDAO. They cannot know what happens in the community creator SubDAO. They're only human. They can't follow everything.
A good example for me is like the designers. When we first had like a lot of designs coming in, submissions, I want to be a designer. Look at this design. I'd be like, that guy, he needs to be a designer. And then one of the designers would be like, why do you like that? There's no vectoring. There's no Photoshop. Like
There's no Figma.
there's no this. And I'm like, bro, it just looks good to me.
Yeah.
Whereas like the design skills, he's the one who can identify, how experienced that designer is.
And another good example is that we find ourselves, as we're core contributors, we find ourselves surprised with the events, decisions, and initiatives that happen within the community, that those SubDAOs go so deep into finding value and discovering ways to empower the community that sometimes we wake up and there is a proposal that we've never heard, never thought about, and is amazing.
One of the coolest things at mtnDAO has been meeting somebody who said, oh, I know, my friend loves Grape. He does your meditation session. We've never seen the meditation session. It happens
In a time
every
zone.
week when we're asleep,
Yeah.
because it's at a time zone that doesn't work for us. But this has been going on like clockwork for the last 3 months. Discord Guru is the guy that runs it. Never seen it. And it's like, yeah, I was part of the meditation thing.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna imagine if we have meditation groups and fitness classes and
Now those things don't go to a DAO vote, right?
TA.
There's no reason for that to go
Yeah.
to a DAO vote. You want to do a meditation thing, go for it, and then people will be able to enjoy it. If enough people are enjoying it, they'll vote in the mission for it, right?
And I think there's 2 things, right? This idea of a SubDAO really just attacks that same question that I had earlier. How do you guys get things done as the DAO grows bigger and bigger? And it really encompasses your example, Dean, was a perfect example of idea meritocracy. This idea of letting the people who are the most experienced, the most believable in the room. And this is something that Ray Dalio popularized, how he runs his business. But I think something like Grape, a DAO specifically, is where you can see this actually work in the best idea, where it's like, cool, we can all look at art and we're like, that looks sick. But if you have the graphic designer over here, he's obviously the most believable person in the room. So being able to delegate and give them that power is amazing. And that's what I was getting at with that question. And Grape attacks that very well. So I think it's amazing to see that and just see all the different things you guys can do and how there is actually an efficient way to get it done. I think a lot of people think DAO and they're like, how could you ever decentralize it entirely? How could you ever get anything done? But this is a prime example of how you can do it and how it's set up. So I think that's really unique seeing that. And it makes a ton of sense. Moving forward, I think we've covered a lot and just wrapped up a lot of things. So I'm at the bottom of my questions. I'm curious to just hear more about social tokens.
Yeah, I'm gonna add the social tokens to the mix because it comes hand to hand with SubDAOs, and maybe not SubDAOs, but maybe some groups within the community that don't have a way to bring measurable value. Maybe that's not revenue. Maybe it's just the power of community. Maybe it's just a social club. Maybe it's paid services. Maybe it's something that I can't think of, but we're experimenting at the moment with Grape-backed tokens, and big shout out to Strata Protocol, to Wumbo, to Noah, and all the engineers on that side that have helped us in the philosophical questions, but also in the execution. So what we're talking about, social tokens, these are tokens that follow a bonding curve, that don't need any liquidity markets, any liquidity pools. They don't need anything because they are directly connected. Their supply, their price is directly connected with the supply. And every time someone buys that token, another token, in our case, Grape token, goes to a treasury to back that token. So it makes this sub token from the get-go to have value and liquidity, and allows for certain buy tax or sell tax, so you can have some revenue streams connected to those sub tokens, social tokens, that end up in a treasury that can be governed by the token we just described and can be governed through realms, and will allow any group to be a SubDAO of its own without the community's consent. So if someone wants to go and create a SubDAO within Grape that, I don't know, they can create a decentralized paid group. It might sound negative, but when we add the decentralized portion in front, where everybody controls the treasury and the gating and the ticketing and the membership, then it becomes a fully meritocratic group of individuals that bring value. There's no way for Grape or the Grape DAO to measure that value, but if they implement their own sub token and they have their own treasury and the group grows and together the treasury grows, then they can even leave Grape and create their own organization. But it all starts from being able to support the liquidity, support the market without any external requirement for protocols, platforms, and pools.
Yeah, and that's super interesting because it also adds value to Grape as a whole. You guys are adding value to the community, and then it's also backed by Grape. They're adding more utility for the token. So I think that's super interesting in general. I mean, this seems like it's a little bit further down, but you guys are definitely working on it. You're working with other people. So super curious to see how that plays out.
It's still all an experiment, and I wanna stress out that we've created already with the community 4 social tokens that follow 4 different bonding curves. We have a linear curve, we have a square root curve, we have a x to the power of something which makes it a parabolic curve. So we are experimenting, and we are constantly adding ingredients to the soup, and it's gonna take us years to perfect this, but the only way is to iterate and try again and add new tools and discover new vulnerabilities. So this is an ongoing process, even for the social tokens.
Yeah, the discovery of Strata and bonded tokens was, I think there's been like 2 or 3 times in this journey of Grape where I've just been like, okay, I really am gonna have to spend a good, who knows how long trying to absorb this. The DEX is the most recent one. I still am trying to understand everything, that this enables. But the bonded curves was the one before that. And say I want to make a token today for whatever business reason or any ideology, some mission I have. If I make one as a regular SPL token, I'm kind of, I'm being supported by the Solana ecosystem, right? If I make it built on Grape, I'm being supported by the Grape ecosystem. Because it's a little bit more intimate, there's a better one-to-one kind of connection behind, okay, now the designers of Grape are incented to design for you. The videographers are incented. Whereas if I made a Solana token, it's not like, all of a sudden everybody's gonna be making designs for me, just because I'm on Solana, like Solana Labs is gonna come over and say, hey, Dean, you made a new coin. How do we help you?
No liquidity, no nothing.
None of that exists, right? It's if you're making a token, on an L1, you probably don't have support off the bat, but backed by an existing proof of social work, proof of meritocracy community, you're gonna have a lot of support there. You have a lot of customers there, right? People who are incented. So like one of the tokens we've released is for videography, right? So internally, we're going to use the videographer token. That way the videographers have their own treasury and their own, kind of voting structure. And these are experiments, right? You want to see what's going to happen. But now we're incented as a community that whenever somebody in our, network asks for a video, hey, do you know anybody that does some videos? I know exactly who can do it. Go and buy the videographer token. And it helps all Grape holders, right? So you're a Grape holder, you now have vested interest in selling into that curated marketplace, right? And it goes back to this idea of, curated marketplace is how, apes stronger together, right? Because you can do all these things together in a structure where the incentives are matching. It's finding aligned incentives. That's the key to all of this.
Yeah.
And we're still in the beginning. The vision down the road includes reputation tokens, it includes meritocratic, measurable tokens, activity, ways to measure the activity, and everything should be on chain, and everything should we should find a way to integrate everything to create a profile, not of a person, but of a wallet that can carry any achievements, any positives or negatives to the next community, and showcase the past, their expertise, what they've gone through, and maybe go across the Solana community, building that reputation, building that social profile without ever the need to be doxxed, without the need to actually send a CV, and without actually ever needing to show your face or something like that. But it's a vision that we still have a long way to go, and we need help from the community and the wider Solana ecosystem.